Aaron Whitlow, and I'm here with Joey Smith, aka Randall Shane of
There we go.
Kentucky Pro Wrestling fame. Introduce yourself, my brother.
How's it going, guys? My name's Randall Shane, 19, 20-year vet in the wrestling business here in Kentucky. Booker, promoter, wrestler, website designer, you name it, I've done it in the business.
That's right. And in today's episode, he's joining me so we can talk about this year's 2021 Royal Rumble, which happened. Do you have the date?
It was this past Sunday.
January 31st, 2021.
No, yeah, there we go, 2 weeks ago. And you got to say it in the Vince McMahon voice. You got to give it that Vince McMahon. The Royal Rumble.
You know, I was thinking about this. So, let's see. My buddy Bill Dozer got the Southern Kentucky Superstar. He recognized you. All right. So, I was thinking about this because I went back and watched a lot before watching this year's Royal Rumble. I went back and watched all the Royal Rumbles, which was a task. And just like when Vince would introduce a pay-per-view, welcome everyone to the Pontiac Silverdome. Welcome everyone to the Royal Rumble.
In my opinion, because people run down their Mount Rushmores and their list of best, wrestlers, tag teams, commentators. Vince McMahon never gets the respect he deserves. I mean, if it wasn't for Vince McMahon, our childhood would not have been the same. I mean, that enthusiasm. He told the story. He built the character. He knew everything that he wanted to get over. I mean, his voice, his mannerisms, everything about it. I mean, that's golden.
He played well off of like Roddy Piper when Roddy would do color with him. He played well off of Ventura. Even Macho Man a little bit. It was a time or two. But I've always been partial to Gorilla and Bobby as the crew.
Yeah.
But I just love their antics together and just the things Bobby would say. Like my favorite, and I was going to ask you this. I believe I'll ask you first. What is your favorite Royal Rumble out of all the Rumbles?
92.
92? Is that the Flair Rumble?
That's the Flair Rumble.
Yeah, mine too. The reason why I brought that up right now because the way Bobby did so much on color commentating, just in hyping Flair up. He was essentially being Flair's manager, but from the from the table, and it was great. It's not fair to Flair. It's not fair to Flair. It just oh my goodness, it was just so much fun.
And I think that's something that is missing in today's sport. You have your 3-man booth, but you don't have that color commentator like you had Bobby Heenan. You don't have the guys telling the story. There may be a match going on in the ring, but they're talking about another match or the WWE champion or something that happened on another show. They're not telling the story of that match like Gorilla and Bobby did.
That's right. I agree. Well, this gets us to this year's Royal Rumble. So it was vastly different from last year's Rumble. This is the first Rumble within the Thunderdome, is what they call it now.
Yes.
So, which there's a couple of things with that too. So I noticed that they use a lot of canned audience sounds in order to like create the pops or the heat or whatever.
So I went earlier this afternoon. I went back and watched some of the Rumble and took notes, and that was one of my notes. Is the canned noise? It was so annoying because you could tell it was generic.
Yeah, because people even if people had their mics or whatever open at home, the sound would sound different because you have people from different places and different homes with different acoustics, so it would sound different. But I don't like the canned noise. I like, in looking at some of the history, I kind of like what NXT did. They have the Thunderdome. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they would also have people like around the around the ring still kind
Yeah,
of being heat, given whether it's still workers or whatever, just or developmentals, just give out there giving some type of atmosphere. I
right.
like that idea, and I think that's what TNA, not TNA, but I don't know about TNA, but
No,
that's also what AEW does, right?
yes, that's what AEW does. They do. Well, AEW is a little different. So they'll have their talent and extras at ringside, and they actually open up for fans. Fans are in the upper levels.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so what you actually see in the bleachers and the upper levels are actual paying fans. What you see around ringside is the extras, staff, um, other talent, and so forth. Now, Impact, they do a basic empty arena taping. No fans, no audience whatsoever. It's just a empty arena taping.
Okay. See, I've like just now this year, I've gotten back into. I haven't left wrestling; it's in my blood,
Oh,
as
no,
you
I feel
know.
you. I feel you.
But I've left the WWE product, and
Oh,
so um, getting this year and looking at the Royal Rumble, it was a lot of people that I just wasn't aware of. Even last year's Rumble, when
right.
Brock Lesnar came in, he like cleared the house for like a good 15, 20 minutes. It felt like.
Uh huh.
Um, and then when Keith Lee came in, I was like, "Who is this guy?" My first thought was, "Who's this guy?" And then the audience was saying something. I'm like, "What are they saying?" They're saying "Bask in His Glory," but
Yeah.
now going back and watching NXT leading up to him, now I understand a little bit more. But just
Right.
looking as someone that hasn't watched it in a while and hasn't watched the episodic episodes, I
Yes.
was like, who are these people?"
And
But
and see, and that's one of the things. I knew Keith Lee from the independent scene, so I was already aware of him before he got signed and sent to NXT. But yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, I've been in and out for the past several years. I don't watch WWE on a regular basis. Only pay per views that I make sure to watch are the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. I don't watch Raw. I don't watch SmackDown. I don't watch NXT. I record them. I'll read the results. If there's anything I see interesting that I want to check, I'll watch. But other than that, I mean, I just mainly watch independents or just read up on the news.
And I would say this as far as before we get into it, I would say that the independents, like just from your years of being on the independence circuit and doing the shows, man, not only here in Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana. I think you went as far as how far have you been?
Alabama.
Alabama. Good lord. So, but yeah, hitting the shows, man, hitting the road. Um, you get I have more respect for the indie guys because the people like the Randall Shanes, the Derek Neals, the people that just made it happen. For I would say I'll go out and say Donnie Fargo. Those
Yeah.
guys that
I got
and Rob G. Rocks, the people that
and
people might not know now, but we remember as legends.
oh yes,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And just let me go on record right now and tell you just how proud I am of Derek Neal right now. I mean, I am so glad all these other people are finally getting to see what Derek Neal is about. And I think the best is still yet to come.
I agree. Derek Neal, I followed his career since. Uh, I, People don't know. I believe. Did you train him?
Now, I didn't train him. Kid Dynamite started training him, and then he went to Chris Michaels and Chase Stevens. So you couldn't ask for two better trainers right there.
Oh heck yeah. But yeah, man, he's killing it, man, and I
Yeah.
love his new. I love his gimmick. I love his new gimmick. Just I've seen his whole progression of his
Oh,
character.
yes.
From like boy type of. That's when I first kind
I'm
of took notice was
right.
boy. But
I'm so excited for shows to start back up around here because I want these fans to witness Derek Neal's transformation.
oh
I
man,
mean,
Derek Neal. For those that don't know, let me give what Bill Dozer is saying real quick. No wrestling show will feel right until we can get shows in front of a live crowd again. I
oh, I
agree.
agree. 100.
I agree wholeheartedly. I heard that Mania is supposed to have a live audience, but I'm not sure if that's true.
No, yeah, WrestleMania will have fans in attendance. They said they were going to use the cap of the Super Bowl. Super Bowl was at a 22,000 cap. They're hoping for 25 to 30,000. So
Okay. And then Trent Taylor runs indie wrestling in the I-65 corridor. All right.
let's not go there.
But all right. So let's talk about the Royal Rumble. I was gonna say the Mania. Lord Jesus, the Royal Rumble.
The
I didn't
road
watch
to
the
WrestleMania.
pre-show. Can you run down the pre-show for me?
Pre-show, it was the women's tag team title match. Asuka and Charlotte Flair defended against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Shayna and Nia regained the titles. It was a so-so match. It was there for what it was there for, to get the belts off of Charlotte and Asuka.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for the match that much. Knowing that Charlotte and both Shayna were going to be in the Rumble later, I just felt that it was just kind of rushed and out of place.
Right. And I would say, as far as I want to say this, I think WWE has a history of not really using their talent well
Yes.
or right correctly. Give me a moment.
You're good.
I gotta open the door for someone. Go ahead and talk about that for me.
All right. So, in my opinion, if you have a match earlier in the Royal Rumble card, you should not be allowed to enter the Royal Rumble. Just for the simple fact that the roster is full of talented people that deserve their moment, that deserves their chance. And by booking someone twice in the same show, you're taking away that opportunity for someone else that could have that 2-minute, 30-second moment, But Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, they regained the tag team titles. And later on, we'll talk about that in the Royal Rumble match. They had a little altercation. But that moves Asuka and Charlotte away from the tag division and obviously moves Charlotte to her program with Lacey Evans.
Okay. Also, I think that, like what I was saying before, Asuka, she had such a build in NXT,
Yes.
And she had such a initial run, and then like just WWE just destroys that. Same with Shayna Baszler. I think Shayna was a dominant, worker
Yep.
for NXT, and I'll say it. I think Vince is out of touch,
Well,
and so
I
I
was gonna
think that
say that's the pattern. Everyone does awesome in NXT. Then once they get caught up to the main roster, they're watered down. I mean, look at Shinsuke. Look at Sami Zayn. It's the same old, same old. They're hot in NXT. Then when they get called up, they're watered down and cooled off.
And I want to throw this out there. I know that I'm going to say it. I think Nia Jax is dangerous. But I think that it's also. I think that it's got to do with her. Maybe she might need to go back to get a little bit more training and stuff like. I think I've seen a couple of things where I'm like, like recklessness.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed some of that, and then I've noticed some stuff where, like, I think here recently there was a Samoan drop or something she had done, and everybody on the internet, oh, she's dangerous, get her out of the ring, get her out of the ring. But every worker you would talk to that was safe, that was, she was protected. But the fans just see it in a different light. So, but no, I agree. I mean, I have seen some unsafe spots from Nia.
Like the buckle bomb, essentially,
Yes.
is what I'm referring to. She did
And
it.
see, I don't like
when.
that move. I don't like that move at all. Anyway, so.
Yeah, but she just did it too early. But yeah, you're right. That's a move that's dangerous, man. Any move that deals with people's necks and heads,
Yes.
and like I'm okay with them discontinuing the power driver. I never really found the I never really found the drive in it. Bill Dozer said this to what you said earlier. I see what he's saying, but I look at it like this. If you have someone who doesn't win the title earlier in the night, then coming in the Royal Rumble doesn't bother me, especially if it furthers the story. I mean, that's happened a few times in
Yeah,
that scenario where someone would drop the title for it. Like for instance, um, what they call the man, uh,
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch. Yeah,
Yeah,
few years ago, I think she dropped the title, and
yeah,
then she came into the Rumble, and I think she won that Rumble.
yeah. She won. Yeah,
Um,
she won that Rumble.
yeah, she actually took the place of Lana. I remember
Yes.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. What is that the other? Is that the only other card that was on the
Yeah.
pre-show?
Yeah. That was only a match on the pre-show.
Okay, and then let's see. Oh, okay, we're gonna get into this. The Goldberg uh,
Oh my.
versus Drew McIntyre with for the WWE Championship. Your thoughts, Randall Shane?
All right. So this is the match I had the most notes for, besides the Rumble match itself. All right. So Goldberg's entrance was way too long. Okay. He's wearing MMA shorts. I guess he didn't get the memo that Brock Lesnar wears the MMA shorts. So stop trying to be Brock. And trust me, I'm not a big Brock fan. So the piped in Goldberg chants, annoying. I mean, you could tell. And then when they showed the screen of all the fans on the Thunderdome, and some of the fans were chanting Goldberg, no noise whatsoever. So you could tell those Goldberg chants were piped in. Um, so Goldberg enters the ring, and then they do the video recap. I hate the video recaps. Everybody has already either bought this pay-per-view or already watching. You don't need a video recap for every match. We
I
already know
agree.
what we're
I
seeing.
agree.
We already know what we're seeing. Again, you're taking time away from somebody else that could be on that card.
I agree. Real quick,
Yes.
Bill says this: more dangerous in the ring, Nia Jax, Goldberg, or COVID.
Ooh.
Ooh, too soon. Too soon, Bill. No,
Well, Nia Jax hasn't ended anyone's career, so I'll go with Goldberg.
he did end Bret Hart's career,
There you go.
and also almost took out the Undertaker.
Oh no, once
Like
I got the Undertaker,
he almost ended the Undertaker's whole life.
yeah,
So yeah,
no.
yeah. The guy and he gets blown up too easily. No offense, he has that
I
warrior thing. I love the warrior.
and,
God knows I love the warrior, but
right.
the warrior later on in his runs was fast runs. You know,
Yes.
like my favorite warrior match is always going to be Warrior versus Rude in the steel cage. That's my favorite warrior match.
SummerSlam 90.
Yep. But
All right, so
yeah, no. Go ahead. But yeah, Bill Goldberg.
at 9 minutes and 40 seconds into this pay-per-view, we are still in Goldberg's entrance with his music playing and everything. At 12:40, the match still has not started. They are just now starting the ring introductions. So, of course, it spills to the outside. You see a sloppy jackhammer from Goldberg that he almost dropped Drew McIntyre on his head like he did Undertaker. And then finally, Drew gets the win, and then Goldberg offers his hand for, respect or whatever. That lasted too long. The worst opening match of a Royal Rumble. I'd much rather see the Orient Express versus the Rockers.
I'd much rather seen I'd much rather seen the Bushwhackers wrestling. I don't know the
The
Godwins
Beverly
or
Brothers.
something like that, or the Beverly Brothers or something like that. That'd be great. I'll be more because hey, people don't give Jack Rougeau no love. That man can work. That man
Oh, yes.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jock and Raymond Rougeau, those guys, man, were terrific. I actually enjoyed them.
Oh, I did
Um,
too.
I'm talking about the Rougeau brothers, not the Beverly brothers.
No, I
But
got you.
anyway,
I got you.
all right. Well, I didn't even
So
mention the Beverly brothers till then.
So
But
Drew McIntyre with a win, retains the title, and goes on to defend, as we found out Monday, he goes on to defend the title in the Elimination Chamber against Randy Orton. Um, hell, I couldn't even tell you who else. Kevin
Sheamus
Owens, I
probably.
think. Sheamus, yeah, Sheamus is in there. AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Jeff needs to get out of there. I guess maybe Jeff is staying like sober there, so maybe he should stay there. I don't know. I like Jeff.
Oh,
No heat against him, but I like Jeff. But yeah, I think that I don't know. I think Goldberg is time. It was great at one point when I seen Goldberg coming back, just a
Yes.
little bit, just that nostalgic factor. Because
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
you and I
I,
were the same place, flipping from USA to TNT,
yep.
watching the Monday Night Wars, and
And look,
and was all about the Goldberg then. So
and I'm all for the nostalgia factor. I mean, bring back a legend for a night or two. That's fine. Hey, I love it. Brings back memories. But this was not needed. You did not need to see Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg.
no, it didn't. It didn't help Drew. It's like
No.
it's the equivalent of Taker versus Roman Reigns
Yeah, and
during it just wasn't needed, and it made Taker look bad. It made Roman look bad.
yeah.
It just and I'm glad that Taker did come back and did better. And I think that the graveyard match he did last year at WrestleMania was a perfect note to end on, and hopefully
That was
he
so
ends on
much
that.
fun. That was so much fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that
because
match.
I think that's how you need to do things. Also, I have criticism about WWE's product too. Real quick, before we jump back into the Rumble, so I was watching Alexis Bliss, and she's now with Bray,
Yep.
in a sense, and she has a split personality where she goes from happy, charming Alexis Bliss to like psychotic Alexis.
Right.
But there's editing during the show that's very like because she was wrestling someone and she turned around and she was in a different costume and was just
Yeah.
like and the lady was like, oh my gosh, then they turned back and she's back in her
And she's
normal
back in her.
outfit.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's terrible. I was like, it's terrible, and I turned it off
Yeah.
because it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I know,
No,
but
I
still, don't do
agree.
that.
I agree.
But no, yeah, I agree. Goldberg, hang it up, bro. We don't need you doing what you're
No.
doing. All right. Then there's the whole thing with Bad Bunny and Booker T and that thing that I set up. I have no idea who Bad Bunny is. I'm out of touch.
Okay, so when I first saw Twitter and they announced Bad Bunny as playing at Royal Rumble, I said, "Who? Who was Bad Bunny?" I got so much criticism. I got shit on by all these people because I didn't know who the hell Bad Bunny was. I'm like, are
I
you
have no idea.
serious? Exactly. Thank you. I mean,
Who
they
is a
say
Bad Bunny?
apparently
I
he
think
is
that's what I
the.
actually said. Who is a Bad Bunny?
I said, what is Adam Rose coming back? So, right?
I've been okay with that.
Yeah, me too. So next match was the Smackdowns Women's Championship. Carmella versus Sasha Banks. Um, didn't really have much of this match. I'm not really a big Carmella fan. Love Sasha Banks. I can't get into Carmella's new gimmick, her new look. I just not a fan. Sasha ended up retaining the title, and we'll go on to who knows.
I've never been a fan of Carmella at all. Sasha Banks, yes, I like the whole boss gimmick.
Yeah,
Even though she's now in some controversy because somebody from Impact is saying that she stole her gimmick essentially. Uh, I have no idea who that person is either because I haven't watched Impact. So, I was like, I don't know. I don't know you. I know Sasha, so I'm
right.
gonna
Yeah,
Team
exactly.
Sasha. But yeah. Um, let's go down from there. We're going to we had the women's Royal Rumble. Is that next?
Women's Royal Rumble was next, but before that, they did another video package of the Royal Rumble numbers that we've seen for the past 3 weeks on
What?
Raw and SmackDown and NXT. So Bayley comes out at number 1, Naomi at number 2. And they made a big deal about this. Apparently, Naomi's been gone for a while, and they made a big deal about, oh, this is Naomi's return to the ring. I didn't know she was gone. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, no, I had
When
no
did she
idea.
leave? What happened to the other Uso? I have so many questions. So,
So Jay is out with injury. He got injured a month ago in a match. So he was supposed to be in the Rumble, but he didn't get cleared. Jimmy Uso is out on legitimate injury and is not projected to be back until I think the spring.
oh, okay.
So
All right. Yeah, I was wondering, but yeah, Naomi being in the Rumble. Um, I don't know. Wait a minute. I want to say one thing.
Yo.
I'm tired of the spots, whether it's Naomi or Kofi, those false elimination spots. I'm tired of those.
Right.
I get it. I get it. It's fine, but I'm done. Don't. There's no need for those. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
No, I
So
got you.
Naomi and Bailey,
Naomi
and
and
then the
Bailey.
next entrance,
Next entrant was number
Bianca
3
Blair,
was Bianca
Belair,
Blair. Yeah, Belair. Yeah. Um,
which you know she's very athletic. She's very strong, actually.
yes. So I actually wrote down originally when Bianca first debuted in NXT, and even when she first moved up to the main roster, I wasn't a fan of Bianca. Like I wasn't a fan. But she's grown on me. She has improved tenfold. I mean, she is amazing.
I will say this about her gimmick. Her gimmick is very, very similar to Sasha Banks, as far as like kind of gives that Sasha Banks
Yeah,
vibe. But I think if she can, I mean, tweak it just a little bit to make it because there's so many very similar type of gimmicks going around, like
every
with
yes,
wrestlers, and just like you like who are these people? Like when I seen just going back watching NXT stuff, uh um Rhea Ripley, which I like Rhea Ripley,
right,
but I felt that her gimmick was very, very, very similar to Shayna Baszler like
yeah,
the polar opposite, almost like the Force versus the dark side versus the Jedi type of the Sith
yeah.
versus Jedi type of thing.
No,
But
I got you.
y- yeah, but I still feel like there's so many gimmicks that are so very, very similar to one another, and I wish that
Yeah.
they're just just a little bit.
Well, and it's not always really just the gimmick too. It's just the look because a lot of them don't have gimmicks anymore. You don't see a lot of gimmicks. It's just you have that look. They dress the same. They wear the same style of tights, the same color of tights. You don't see that difference anymore. If you think back to the early '90s, even the mid '90s when we were kids, you had your different characters, and you could tell, Macho Man and his flashy fluorescent colors. Then you had the Bushwhackers and their camo, Beverly Brothers, Hulk Hogan in his red and yellow. You didn't see all these people dressed the same. They were different. They caught your
I
eye.
agree.
And
I
now
agree. They
everybody's
were
the same. And
distinctive.
yeah, exactly. And see, and that's what gets me because I'll go through a period of time whenever I'm in the ring, I want to change up my look. So I remember this one time, for instance, when I was working for Terry England back in 2009. At the time, I was wearing either blue or my blue singlet or my red singlet. Everybody else in the locker room was wearing either black, blue, or red. I mean, this
Mm,
went on for several shows. I was like, I'm not standing out. Everybody's wearing the same colors. So I'll order me a custom set of pink and black tights. Okay.
mhm.
I get them in. I go to the show. I'd be damned if there's somebody in that locker room with a pair of pink and black tights besides me. I'm like, are you kidding
Really,
me? I'm like, here I am trying to stand out, and somebody else comes in here with pink and black tights. I'm always trying to find that, you got to stand out. You got to make yourself not be seen, but you want the fans to notice you,
hmm
you know. So
yeah, I
that's
agree.
just that's just my little rant on ring
And
gear.
like someone like a Derek Neal has pulled that off. Someone like a Trent Ware has pulled that off.
Yes.
In trying to make themselves look different enough to
Right.
where people don't like you don't think, oh, did he just wrestle? Did I just see him wrestle? Or
No,
whatever.
no, I agree. Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is somebody new coming. And that's what it was like for us coming up. Just going to indie shows. When Kid Dynamite came out, you're like, who is this guy? You know,
Yeah.
at that point, you're just like, wow, man. Or the what they call
Yeah.
what was I called them the medics, but what were they called for
Oh,
real?
the operators.
The operators, yeah. Just like even though it's something simple as wearing hoods and
Yeah, I
wearing
mean,
scrubs, it was just, a simple thing, but it works.
Yes. Simplicity. Everybody tries to make everything too complicated. It's just got to be
Yeah.
simple. That's all it is.
But so Bianca enters the third, and let's see.
See,
And
after
then
that,
after
I think
that, Billy
was
Kay.
Billy Kay. Yeah.
But she
didn't get
stayed
into
out
the
there. Wasn't
ring.
she like trying to get someone to help her? When did they break up the Iconics?
She was.
That's another question.
Jeez, that was back in after SummerSlam, I think.
See, they
Right
do
before,
too much.
I think right before the brand split. Yeah, or not the
See,
brand split, but the draft before the last draft.
they kill stables and kill things that they don't give it time to really
Well, here's the
flesh itself
thing.
out.
Here's the thing. They broke up the Iconics, and then they turned right around and put Peyton Royce into another tag team with Lacey Evans. Why are you going to break up a tag team that's already got heat and put one of your people in another tag team? And they left Billy Kay off the screen. Billy Kay didn't return to TV until like last month, so she was off TV for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it's just like they did it with the Riot Squad. When they disbanded the Riot Squad, and then now one of them doesn't even work for the company anymore. Yeah. But like I like their look and what they were going for, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And they didn't really give them a chance to really do anything. But Billy Kay, she came out and she essentially pretty much begging someone to like come in with me and we work together. And it was a good bit of comedy. So the Iconics were very funny. They were very funny together, and it kind of worked. I like their gimmick. I like their little whatever they had.
Right. And then I think next was Shotzi Blackheart, and then Billy Kay ran down to Shotzi, and then Shotzi shot her with her tank. That was a cool little spot.
And I'm still learning who Shotzi is. And then there's Tony Storm that came in.
Tony Storm. Then Shayna, I believe, came in.
Jillian Faye Hall. Jillian
Hall.
The one that she used to have the wart gimmick, wart thing going on.
She used to be one of JBL's cabinet members.
Yeah. She came in, which it was cool. It was cool to see her. And I was like, oh, look at her.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about the Rumbles is, just that one-off spot, that surprise entrant,
Yeah, and
Jillian Hall was definitely a surprise entrant.
Kay officially entered the Rumble, and let's see. And Lacey Evans entered, accompanied by Rick. Flair. And then Charlotte, she entered sometime, right?
Yeah, she came out, I think, mid-match.
Yeah. And immediately after former WWE, let's see, Alicia Fox. She's former? She's not with the company.
Oh, no. No, she hasn't been for a couple of years.
So I know that she got a lot of heat at one point because she like publicly was she drunk publicly or she did something?
So it was a house show, and this is what caused Arn Anderson to be released. Arn Anderson was the agent at that show, and Alicia Fox came in intoxicated, and he allowed her to work. And then the office found out, and instead of reprimanding Alicia Fox, they fired Arn Anderson.
Yeah. So. But that's okay. Now he's with AEW, and
there you go.
You can't stop the enforcer.
Exactly.
And then after Alicia Fox, R-Truth ran to the ring.
R-Truth ran to the ring, yeah.
All right, so this is the only. I'm not a big fan of R-Truth. I remember. I love you and I think we seen him down in Tennessee once.
Nashville.
Yes. Yeah, and he tried to sell us a CD, and it was like, no, we're good.
So I remember it was a Raw, and we were outside standing in line, and you go, "Hey, I think that's Ron Killings," because TNA had just started up. You're like, "Hey, I think that's Ron Killings." I'm like, "No, it ain't." Sure enough, here comes Ron Killings trying to hawk his CD. He had just recorded a CD, and he was trying to sell it to people.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, man, he had like crusted snot a little bit on his nose. I remember he's like, "Hey man, you want to buy my CD?" I was like, "Nah, I just want to say I'm a fan of yours, but that's it, bro."
Right.
That's the same time that I think I want to say that's the same where we seen Piper. I think we seen Piper that day.
Yes,
I think
Piper.
Hogan was there.
Yes. Oh, that was a SmackDown. Yes.
Was
So
it SmackDown?
it was a SmackDown because it was Piper was managing Sean O'Hare,
Hmm.
and Sean O'Hare was working Rikishi, I think, and because Piper and Rikishi was in a little bit of thing, and yeah.
And I think it was that because we've been down there a few times. No, there's one time we went and Raven was still in a feud with Saturn, and he put Mr. Mop in the wood
Moppy.
chipper, Moppy in the wood
Oh
chipper,
yes,
and
yes.
but it didn't go right, and like you seen him on screen, he's like, oh no, he's kind of looking around like it's not going in there, you know. But yeah, we seen them. Is that and then also I want to say it was the time where Austin was the main event, and he lost, and he stayed in the ring, and he started like like giving crap to the audience, saying, you know what I hate most in the world, truck drivers,
Oh
and then
yes.
ask them he asked them what they did, and
Yeah.
it got when somebody was like worked at Christian bookstore or something like that. You know what I hate most in the world, and he didn't say nothing, he just walked away. But it was fun, man. But yeah, no, we ran into K Quick, aka Ron Killings, and also literally ran into Rhino, so that was interesting. Um, on our way out, it was Rhino. I want to say Sean Morrison. No,
It was a few of them because I remember they were going to. We were walking down the street and
they were going to Hooters, right?
they were going to Hooters. We were
Um,
passing Hooters as they were going into Hooters because we parked at the
yeah,
parking structure right next to Hooters.
and we literally like I bumped into Rhino. And I'm like, hey, sorry. I think I said sorry, Rhino. It was like I was like, what do you say to Rhino? Like, sorry, Rhino. But yeah, that was good times, man.
Good
That was
times,
fun.
man.
Lot of events, bro. And we might talk a little bit more about it later. So after, this is what I was gonna say about Ron Killen. So our truth. All right.
Our truth.
So uh, that one Royal Rumble where he came in and brought the ladder
Got the
in,
ladder.
that was great. That was
Yes.
great. But
So
yeah,
this Rumble, here Alicia Fox enters the ring. She's doing her thing, and then all of a sudden you hear R-Truth's music. So R-Truth runs to the ring, and Alicia Fox is trying to tell him, "No, no, wrong match. You're in the wrong match." He looks around. He sees all the women. He's like, "Oh, wrong Royal Rumble. My bad." He jumps down, starts to head up the ramp. Well, then here comes everybody going after that 24/7 title. Slides in the ring, tosses Alicia. Alicia starts knocking a few of them down. Truth knocks a few of them down. Then Alicia schoolboys him and wins the 24/7 title.
yeah.
So here's my problem with that. This is the Booker in me. She just won the 24/7 title. Why is nobody else in that ring going after her?
That's true. That's true.
They're all standing there watching, but nobody makes an attempt to go after her. She eventually gets eliminated, and then Ron Killing schoolboys her and wins the title back.
Yeah. Man, this 24/7 title is something else, boy. Mandy Rose is eliminated by Fox, as you said. There's a lot of people eliminated, and then Nikki Cross enters and attempts to eliminate Carmella. I like Nikki Cross. I
I
liked
like
her. I
Nikki
don't know if
Cross,
he
yeah.
still does the furl gimmick, but I
Somewhat,
love that.
somewhat not as it's not as, let me say, hyped up as it was, but it still got a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought that was really cool
Oh,
because
yeah, I did too.
But there you go, WWE. You don't know how to
Hey,
book your talent.
exactly.
And
So let's talk
then
about
yeah, go ahead.
let's talk about the finish because I loved the finish. It was something
Okay.
original, you know. Bianca and Rhea are the last two in the ring. I can't remember which one. One of them throws one over the top. The other one drags the other one with them. They almost hit the floor. They both slide back up on the apron, setting on the apron. Rhea looks at Bianca and says, slow down, slow down. Don't try anything. Let's get back in the ring.
I like
So,
that.
yeah, so they slide back in the ring and then they finish. I thought that was really cool. Because usually,
Yeah.
the past few Rumbles that we've seen, it's always been somebody gets knocked off the apron at the end, and then
The last few Rumbles has been a lot of work on the apron. Like
yes,
the finish would be happen on the apron, like right there, and they that little space, that little real estate area, and they're working on it. But yeah, I mean, long gone is the days of just throwing someone literally out or clotheslines them.
Right.
You know, now it's all got to be cliffhanger type of finales.
Exactly.
But I like that the ending of it was great. Yeah, I agree. And I'm glad that Bianca Belair won. I'm glad that someone other than Charlotte, someone other than anyone, like I was gonna say Alicia, but anyone other than, you know what I mean?
I thought Rhea was going to win, but if Rhea didn't win, I'm glad Bianca won because I definitely did not want to see Charlotte win again. I was actually hoping for a Becky Lynch return because she had the baby last month. But I'm happy for Bianca. It was a good moment.
Yeah,
and it was a legitimate moment too. You could tell even when she went backstage, there was footage of her walking through the gorilla position with her husband Montez right there, and she's just bawling. So I mean, it was a feel good moment.
Yeah, and it's good, man. I like when someone that legitimately is excited for that, something like that. Like
exactly, yeah.
My favorite thing about the initial women's Royal Rumble that they did was that, for one, it felt big. To me, it felt big.
Yes.
And I teared up a little bit when Lita came out. I'm like, man, this is great, because I'm like, I felt like like that 19-year-old dude, man, watching wrestling back in the day, seeing her first. She was when I first seen her, she was with I forget, Jose Rios, S.A. Rios.
Yes.
And she did the Hurricanrana, and I'm like, who is this? Whoa!
Now see, first time I seen her, she was in ECW. So
see, I didn't watch EC after. I'll say after it hit TNN.
okay.
I kind of lost track of ECW when it hit TNN.
Right.
But man, I was all about the early ECW. I mean, that late night. What the heck is this?
We're gonna have an episode just on that because that, I mean, legit.
I agree. All right, so Bianca Belair won, and congratulations to Bianca. Has she chose who she's going against yet?
She has not. Rumor is, and I'm kind of hoping she chooses Sasha. I think that would be a good WrestleMania match.
Yeah.
But no, she hasn't chosen anyone yet.
I would agree with that. I would rather see who's the other champion.
Other champion is Asuka, who actually defends the title at Elimination Chamber against Lacey Evans. So my theory is Lacey is going to beat Asuka, and it'll end up being Charlotte versus Lacey at WrestleMania for the championship. And then Bianca does choose Sasha Banks.
Okay. I'm cool with that. I hope actually Bianca and Sasha will go on not last. I don't know who but not. I want them to be the next to last match.
Yes.
I want them to be
prominent
over Charlotte now.
I think if they do, I think they will because it'll make history.
Yep. So. So then after that there is do we go straight to the men? Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. And this was an entertaining match for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
A couple spots I found entertaining was when they first walk backstage and you see the training ring, and then right up against the wall, there's just a wall of ladders, like it's freaking Home Depot. I mean, there's got to be 50, 60 ladders just lined up waiting to be used. And then you have the forklift spot, which if this is a last man standing match and you see a forklift with a pallet, why would you not just place that pallet with the forklift on top of your opponent so they can answer the count?
Because it's murder, Joey. No, Joey.
Hey, Mick Foley and The Rock did it.
That's true. Hey, if they can survive, Mick Foley can survive off of real quick. Pause of WrestleMania. You and I believe, were we at the same place watching Hell in a Cell?
No.
So, but you sure? We because sometimes I come over your house and watch pay-per-views. I don't know if that's one at a time.
I don't think I watched Hell in a Cell. I think at that time I listened to Hell in a Cell. You know, you could turn that dial at that right spot.
And you can. And it's
you can't see the picture, but you can hear the words.
But I remember. I do remember watching it though. I remember somehow. I don't know if it's later on, but when Foley went through the top, I thought he died. I was
scary.
Like, oh, yeah. And now knowing, retrospectively that wasn't part of the match, that he literally it just gave in.
Yeah.
He's like, oh man, it's scary.
Makes you think twice. Well, I guess it doesn't make most people think twice about taking bumps up there. Would definitely make me think twice.
I'm surprised Foley still has his mind and everything, man. He's not like gibbering on himself and stuff.
Yeah.
This guy. But I want to say I do like Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens he's one of my favorite workers. Kevin Steen. I didn't know him as Kevin Steen. I didn't follow him until he came into WWE against like Cena. I'm like, who's this guy? I like this guy because he, someone that looks different from just the muscle bound people. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a huge Roman Reigns fan. I think at one point, when he started getting a little momentum, I was like, I guess he's not bad, but he's not a bad worker. I think that I like him as a heel though. I like the heel.
Roman. Yeah, the heel. Yeah. I prefer the Shield Roman. When he was with the Shield, and then it would be heel Roman, and then my problem was it was the John Cena effect. They were forcing him down people's throats, and I don't like that. Mm-hmm. Let the audience choose. Don't force someone down your throat just because that's the direction you want to go. If the audience rejects that, you have to go with it. It's.
How do you feel about Cena now? Like, do you feel that Cena now has earned? Well, not saying earn your respect. Have you earned his spot as far as like what he's did for the business? And he was a workhorse. He's a workhorse, and he stayed dedicated, showing up, and I give him that. So yeah,
and not just that. I mean, everything he done outside of the business, from the Make-A-Wish Foundation and all the charitable donations that he's done. I mean, he has definitely earned his spot.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so Owens and Roman, and with the winner being Reigns.
Yes.
But which Reigns? Who's he going to be working? What's going on with Reigns?
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be Edge and Reigns, or I have no idea. I'm really lost on this one because usually I can kind of predict. I can usually see where they're going, but I have no idea where they're going with this one.
Yeah. And then now it's the Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble match.
Royal Rumble.
Number one, let's see.
Number one was
Who's
Edge.
First entrance. Was it Edge?
Edge.
Oh.
And then Randy Orton was number two.
Orton. Yeah. And so, then we don't care about no. I'm just
playing. And then this match was built around Edge versus Randy Orton. You kind of knew that going in when Edge said that he was going to be competing in the Rumble. And then, of course, when they announced that Edge was going to be number one and Orton was going to be number two, they announced that the day before. You knew this match was going to be built around Edge versus Orton. And I thought they did a tremendous job. It was a really fun match, and I was really entertained by it.
I mean, it's crazy. Now, I remember when Orton first came, in the like in WWE, and I remember him in OVW as well. But I remember him when he first came into WWE, and he is this young guy. I think he's my age, actually. I think he's our age, actually. I say
Yeah,
our age because we're
yeah.
both two old farts. But but uh, he he was this young guy, man. But now to look at him now, how how crafty he's gotten with the business. Like he's so good, man. As far as like his moveset, his timing, his way of telling a story, with his bodies and his mannerisms.
Uh-huh.
But and also I like Edge as well. I've never been a huge Edge guy, although I like I like the rated R superstar
Oh
Edge,
yeah.
and then that's when I kind of gravitated more towards the Edge with the rated R superstar.
See,
So
I dug Edge a little bit when he first debuted because he was a different character. He was that mysterious. He was up in the rafters.
like the
Um,
vampire guy.
yeah, and then when he got into Brood, I was like, okay, because I liked Gangrel. I was a Vampire Warrior fan from USWA. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then the Edge and Christian stuff, they were entertaining. But then when he became the rated R superstar, I was a huge mark for that, especially
Mhm.
with him and Lita together.
Yeah, that was, man. Take a real life incident and just like create
Exactly.
gold, man.
Yes.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have Edge and Randy, and then there's Mustafa Ali. But I
Let's
want to
talk about
mention one
that for a
guy.
second.
Oh, go ahead.
Retribution.
I'm not familiar what that is.
Well,
I'm just
a
playing.
lot of
I know
people
what it
aren't.
is. I ignore it. But go ahead.
So this, you know, trust me. So is WWE booking. Um, I don't understand. I just don't understand why they would just throw Ali into this match and not utilize the rest of the members of Retribution. I don't understand.
Hmm.
WWE, if you ever need a booker, I got
You'll
you.
be a
I got
good
you three
booker
guys.
for him too.
I got you three guys right here. Me, James Carver, and Chris Waddell. We got you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. Hey, let me say something. Chris Waddell, um, what they do up in Owensboro,
Yep.
my goodness, man, they are tremendous, and it just and I would say the same about James Carver and um, representing you know I'm drawing a blank now. He's gonna kill
New
me.
New
Yeah, I
South.
always do it to him, huh?
New South.
So, New South, yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, and England and all them, that
Yeah.
keeps the business going, But no, I just want to give a shout out to them, also to you, because I feel like, uh, you as a kid, we as kids, man, we enjoyed we enjoyed when WWE came, we
Oh
enjoyed
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but we loved going to Reeds. We loved going to the fairgrounds. No one, if never, no one else, this is a whole nother podcast episode.
Oh
If no
yeah,
one else
yes.
has ever experienced watching pro wrestling at Reed's restaurant, um, it was magical.
No,
It was a
yes.
spot.
They're just.
It was our ECW arena.
It was yes, exactly. Yes, I agree
But
with you 100%.
my goodness,
So
it was just
my
so much fun.
my my favorite moment of the Royal Rumble. Can you guess what my favorite moment was?
I, if I can't, will that make me uncool?
Hey, there you go. I mean, and I kind of figured because he was advertised for the Legends Raw back last month. There was miscommunication. They had talked to him about it. He was open for it. They never actually booked him, but they advertised him for it. So I was like, okay. I said he'll be in the Rumble. Sure enough.
You know, it's funny. I was watching the Rumbles, and I was watching the product like prior to the Rumble and the old stuff, and seeing Carlito come on the screen. I always loved Carlito. He was
Yeah.
always been, and I was honored that through you, my man, I was able to meet him and work with him a little bit. in the sense of saying hello to him, and
He was
and
Carlito pretty cool.
I remember here at a local show, uh, we was chatting about Hoss is better, and just
Yes.
Sheldon Benjamin.
So the first time I met Carlito, I was working for Chris Waddell, and we were doing a show in Central City. It was their big one night only show, and they do it once a year. They bring in a few big names, and they brought in Carlito and Chris Masters that night, or Carlito, Chris Masters, and Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy was going to drive. He had a show in somewhere in Tennessee the night before, so he was just going to drive up. But Chris had to fly Carlito and Chris Masters in. He flew them into Nashville. So I told Chris, I said, hey, I'll go pick them up. If you don't have anybody else to go pick them up. He's like, yeah. He said, that'd be great. So I go pick up Carlito first. His plane landed first. So I picked him up. We drove around, went to go try to check in at the hotel, but the room wasn't ready yet. So we just went back and we picked up Masters. And we were just talking a little bit. It was the most awkward car ride ever, by the way. Like, I don't know if it was just because, I didn't know what to say to him. But like 75% of the car ride was pure silence. So, but one of the things I did tell Carlito was, hey, I said, so you did a show in my hometown of Bowling Green, and you're a wrestling Shelton Benjamin. And something was happening at the beginning, and Charlie Haas just came back into the company. Said we started chanting Haas is better. And Shelton had his mama's boy going all the time. So we would chant Haas is better, and then we would chant Mama's boy. And Shelton got on the mic and said, Haas is not better, and I'm not a mama's boy. Well, we would keep chanting. And I told Carlito, I said, then you get on the mic, and then you play off us. I said, they have a point. Haas is better, and you are a mama's boy.
Yeah.
So he said that's pretty cool that I remember that.
Yeah. And actually, I ended up telling him the same story when he was here. I guess he was probably thinking, "Oh, that's crazy, man." But yeah, it was really, man, it was a cool experience. Also, you allowed me to meet Abyss. Abyss is the coolest guy. You wouldn't think like
You would
because
not
he
think
does such a good job as a character,
such a
but
sweetheart.
such a sweet guy. And I got to carry his Janice. Yeah, he said, "Hey, do you mind putting in the ring? Put it right over here." So thank you. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And that's the thing.
Oh
like
my gosh.
He's so soft spoken too. You would never believe that.
Man. Oh, and then we'll get back to the Rumble. But before this, I want to mention a rib that you did to me. So, all right. So we was in Nashville. We was in Tennessee at a show in Tennessee, and the whole time I was watching, and there's this like heavyset dude there, like big white dude, heavyset dude, bald headed, yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then like you said, hey man, did you realize who that was? I'm like, who? He said, it's King Kong Bundy, man. I'm like, no, it wasn't. He's like, yeah, that's King Kong Bundy, man. I'm like, oh my gosh. It was not Bundy, man.
So the dude played like legit, like the dude played that he was King Kong Bundy. I mean, like he would tell everybody that he was King Kong Bundy. And like the first time I saw him, I was like, you ain't King Kong Bundy. But being in the business, you don't just flat out call somebody on their lies. You let them think they're working you, and you just know it's BS. But yeah.
I was thinking he looks different, but I thought maybe I just seen him on TV. And
he's like,
but
he shrunk a couple feet and lost a couple 100 pounds.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened to King Kong? But yeah, man, I remember that. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah, this Carlito came out, and Carlito actually did pretty well in the Rumble.
He did.
This is when I seen other people that I didn't know. I knew Elias. I knew Walk with Elias. But Damian Priest, I was like, who is this guy? Which now I know a little bit more about him. He's a big fan of like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and so he kind of still has that bad guy type of trying to bring it into the modern times. And he's got the Archer thing. I don't know.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig his entrance with the arrow and that shoots the fire.
Yeah, I like that entrance. I like the idea of Damian Priest. I just didn't know who he was at first.
Yeah.
But John
Hopefully they don't drop the
Morrison,
ball on him.
I hope not. Christian came
So at
back
one
and
yes,
go
so
ahead.
at one point in the Rumble, you had Carlito, John Morrison, Dolph Ziggler. I think Edge was in there, Christian. So I texted Seth. I was like, "Look," I said, "John Morrison, Carlito, Edge, Christian." I said, "What are we watching? A 2005 Rumble?"
That's funny. Yeah. It felt that, and then Kane came out. So it's
Yes,
crazy
yeah,
because I just finished reading Mayor Kane or doing the audiobook version of it, but I finished listening to it. And I know what it takes for Vince to get Glenn up there,
right.
to this. So he gives him a private jet to fly him, and he goes back the same night to make sure he's back to do his job as the mayor of Knox County.
Right.
And so it was a great read, by the way, great listen. And Glenn actually, I say it like I know Glenn Jacobs, but I feel like I know him. I remember him when he was Unabomber. So, but
Hey,
uh,
there you go.
but yeah, it just was great just to and he seemed like such a nice guy. I know in the Rock's book he talked well about Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, and
Uh,
so yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry,
oh no, no, you're good.
but yeah, it was cool to see Kane, and then at one point we had Team Hell No in the Rumble, which was
Yes,
which was cool.
that
I
was
also
pretty cool. Yeah.
I like Daniel Bryan. I liked him as Bryan Danielson.
Oh
I
yeah,
did get him on the Indy card. That's where I first. You actually introduced me to
yeah,
Daniel Bryanson, I believe.
yeah.
So
I was a huge Brian Danielson fan.
yeah, yeah. I said it backwards, but yeah, uh, but yeah. You introduced because you gave me a lot of tapes. This is how old it is, guys.
Yeah,
I think it's tapes. It might have been
probably.
DVD, but it
There's
was like
probably tapes in there too.
it was like Ring of Honor. It was like tournaments and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and he was in those. And I was like, man, because he had the cattle mutilator, and I was like, man,
I still don't understand why he's never used cattle mutilation in WWE. I mean, that was just an awesome move.
Vince is, I didn't come up with it, damn it.
And there you go.
So you can't use it.
Uh,
But
I
yeah, go
I thought
ahead.
the end of the Rumble. I thought the end of the Rumble was pretty cool. It had that falsy where you thought Orton had won, and then here comes Edge right around, and I thought that was a pretty cool finish.
Let me ask you, real quick, your thoughts on Braun Strowman.
Not a big fan. Just
Not a big fan.
not a big fan. I mean, when he was with the Wyatt family, I thought he was okay. When he first broke off, I thought he was okay. I'm just not a big fan.
Not kind of over him. I think that they don't. I think they don't really. I think he doesn't really work long matches. Like I was going back watching the old stuff, man. You don't see the Bret Hart versus Shawn Michael Iron
Nope,
Man matches,
nope.
which if you watch that match, it was such a glorious match with like so much emotion,
Yep.
attached to it. Uh, you don't see those matches. You don't see the Owen versus Bret. Those matches that Kurt Hennig matches, any of his
Those
matches. My goodness,
those technical matches, you don't see those anymore.
yeah, those are just you. Only place you really see that I think is in NXT when it
Yeah.
comes to WWE's product. I think that NXT and that's a credit to Triple H and his love for just wrestling and just kind of trying to book it that way. Him and
Oh yeah.
him and Sean and all them working with it. So,
Yes.
but
No, I agree. I
Edge
agree with
won.
you there. Edge won.
Edge won.
Edge is going to WrestleMania.
WrestleFest, no, no, Edge won, which is cool. It's cool for what it is. I always want to see someone new win.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which that's why I was happy for Bianca. But but it should make for an interesting story, I guess. I think that it'll still somehow become Orton versus Edge somehow, because um that is they work well together. I wouldn't really.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Orton
Now
versus
see,
like Roman or something like that.
I could see Orton winning the Elimination Chamber, and then Edge challenging Orton at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah. I
could be
think
it.
I think that makes sense.
That could be the call.
But all right. So that's the end of the Rumble. Hey, the legendary.
Hey, Lily, come here. Say hi.
Hey, how you doing? I remember you when you was a baby. All right, but yeah, man. I thought that it was. I thought it was a great. Uh, I thought it was okay. Rumble. What's your overall thoughts on the Rumble?
The Rumble match itself, I thought. So I'm like you. I didn't have high hopes for this Rumble because you didn't have the fans. And I knew going into it when this whole thing started, that was the first thing I said was, man, I hope this is over by the Rumble because you need the fans for the Rumble. I mean, the fans are what make those entrances, especially those surprise entrants. But overall, if I had to rate it, I would give it a B. The Royal Rumble match itself, the men's Rumble match, I would give an A minus. The women's, I would probably give B plus, maybe. So
I think I give them the scores you got is what I would give it.
Goldberg and McIntyre, definitely an F.
Yeah. I think that and I know because of COVID and stuff, you can't have those surprises like you did like several years ago.
Right.
Maybe next year we can have a little bit more. But Rumble has always been my favorite WWE pay-per-view, other than Rumble, Survivor Series, Slam, and then WrestleMania. Those were
Survivor Series. If they had the Survivor Series matches,
yeah,
that's what I like. I like those.
That's what we did. That's what they had at one point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you had interesting teams like Kerry Von Erich,
the Visionaries.
You had with Kerry Von Erich, LOD. I want to say Warrior, and
they were
one more person.
Well, they were called the Warriors.
It's Warriors.
That was their team.
That was it. Yeah, Kerry Von Erich, Warrior, and the LOD. Yeah, and then good stuff.
Then you had you had Rick Martel, I think Warlord, and a couple others, and they were the Visionaries. Then you had like Jake the Snake and his team. I think they were called the Vipers or the Venoms or something. It was stuff like that. You had your team with your cool team name, and
I remember the moment of watching. Like it might have been Raw at the point. I want to say it was Raw when Taker came in the ring at one point and just opened his jacket and had the American flag.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was for Survivor Series '94.
Yeah, and you're like, he's going to join.
Yes, because it was Lex, Undertaker, and the Steiner brothers versus Yokozuna, Tatanka, maybe, and I forgot who else.
It's funny thing about them guys because, like, I remember us like hearing Bowling Green. We've been blessed a few times with EA Diddle to see some events. I'm not talking about the later stuff. Even though the only one thing I'll reference with the later stuff is that Sheamus is the coolest guy ever because he came out and he signed everybody's autograph and stopped his car and actually got out and signed more autographs. And then
that's pretty cool.
Matt Bourne, Evan Bourne. But he was great too. But the earlier stuff, man, I remember us going and seeing. We got to see Taker. We got to see Owen Hart. We got to see British Bulldog, Bam Bam Bigelow, Giant Gonzalez at one point.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah, I think that was around 93, 90. It was like
93. 93 was the first house show here in Bowling Green. It was Brett and Bam Bam in the main event.
Yeah, and we saw that's the one where was that the one where Giant Gonzalez came out and attacked Taker during the
I
match?
I, I, I believe so. Yeah, that would have been the
Because
time
I was
period
like, this is the
that
tallest guy I've
Gonzalez
ever
was
seen in
there.
my life. Yeah. And then
I want to
like
say it was
Bam
maybe
Bam,
Undertaker versus IRS.
Damien Demento was there because I remember Bam Bam and Damien
Oh,
Demento and Kamala Godfather. They left together. They was riding
I think
together.
I think that was the match. I think it was Damien Demento versus Undertaker, and then Giant Gonzalez came out.
Yeah, and I remember, yeah, like I seen Shawn Michaels, we seen Razor, Kevin, uh, like
Yokozuna.
Yoko. I remember, and Mabel. He was Mabel then.
Oh my
It was
God,
there
yes.
was a match with Mabel, Yoko, and Owen versus
Bull,
I want to say Brett, Sean, and Diesel.
Undertaker. I think that's what it was. Diesel,
Was
yes,
it? 'Cause
Diesel.
yeah, and there's a spot in the ring
Yeah,
where Mabel was down, and then Yoko went to do something and then hit Mabel, and Mabel rolled out, and and I think I don't know if Yoko farted or something. He did something, but you can see they was like I don't know, or it could be Owen. Owen could have ribbed him, but you
I'll
can see they was
say,
like literally cracking up. There's over on the
right.
apron just laughing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and then Phineas Godwin versus like Triple H or
Well,
Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he got
yeah,
slopped. And
and
I remember he did
slop,
this, and I got slop on me.
and then yeah,
Um, and I'm trying to think of who else. There was so many. It was just, and then I remember we can look in the back and we saw. It was like, is that Arn? I don't know if it's Arn. It was somebody. No, it wasn't Arn. It was somebody working in
yeah.
the
It was.
back, and he's like,
I
I forget
think
who it was.
Wyndham, maybe. I think it may have been Wyndham. I think Wyndham was an
Yeah,
agent at the time.
yeah. That was really cool, man. Just I'm fortunate that we was able to see these house shows, and
Yeah.
I remember touching Sean's glove when he came through, the red glove. I won't forget that. It was a red glove, fingerless
Yeah.
glove, and I just remember that. And Brett, I remember Brett giving some kid the glasses right next to me, but not me. I was so mad.
Right.
Um, but yeah, man. Those live shows, man, that we watched, that we went to, man, it just kind of enforced. And I remember at one point we said, "Hey, bro, like when I got to know you, we was like, one day we'll run Diddle, man. You know, we said one day
Hey man,
we'll have a show at Diddle.
that's still my goal, brother. That's still my goal.
Hey, I think that'd be awesome. But yeah, we got to come. Thank you for joining us today. We got to
Hey,
come
no
back on and
problem,
talk
brother.
about just local wrestling, man,
Absolutely. Anytime, my
and
man.
ECW and
Anytime.
all that. But all right, Aaron Whitlow, go ahead and introduce you,
Randall
tell me yourself.
Shane.
And we are the Markout Movie Podcasters. And thank you for joining us today on this episode. Take it easy, and if it's easy, take it twice. Don't do it.